Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best-of-7 series of top-level StarCraft 2. I got a little confused here because Serral did not actually start up a drone right at the very beginning of the game. I thought for a second he was planning on 12 pooling none other than Maru. Today it's time for a best-of-7 between the two most popular players in all of StarCraft 2. This doesn't really happen all too often. And I haven't seen these games yet myself. So this was played during the Maestros of the Game tournament, which actually took place over in Paris. So both players were there at the venue. They could probably look each other in the eye if they glanced right next to their monitors or maybe side to side. I'm not exactly sure what the setup was like, but these two were in the same room at the same time while playing this particular series. And of course, they are ridiculously successful throughout their careers. Serral mostly winning everything outside of South Korea. Maru winning mostly everything inside of South Korea. And both of them are, of course, well, part of the exclusive Millionaires Club when it comes to tournament prize money. I believe there's only 4 players that have ever earned more than $1 million. And these two are in the number 1 and number 2 position. Serral, a little bit ahead, but there's no denying that Maru has had his fair share of success as well. Now here's the thing, even though Maru has been absolutely demolishing the competition over in Korea for like the last decade and a half or so, when it comes to these two meeting in particular, they have played against each other up until this particular series. They have played against each other 24 times, with Serral winning 19 times. So, long story short, there is a pretty obvious discrepancy between these two. Maru usually seems to perform a little bit less outside of Korea. At least historically, he's always played better from home. I don't know if it has to do with travel or jet lag or just not being as comfortable. But Serral has always powered up, especially at offline events all around the world. This seems to be something that like you either have naturally or you don't. But in a matchup like this, when you have the two top dogs playing against each other, especially at an offline venue when there's no ping and all the rest of it, Serral always seems to be a little bit more comfortable than everybody else out there. Either way, for now, this is a very normal start. And I say very normal because this particular series, it was played, well, technically, I guess, on patch 5.0.16, because that is the patch that the live server is running on. But they actually played a modded version of the game because this is a $20,000 tournament. They didn't really want to, have the tail end of the event take place on a brand new patch, especially one that is, well, quite all over the place, and Zerg seems to be a little bit busted on the new patch so far. So they decided to play a modded version of the game that is identical to 5.0.15, aka the, well, probably the most balanced patch that we've had in the last couple of years, and the one that we have all gotten very used to. This will probably be one of my final series that I am casting on the patch. But I think it's actually pretty clever that they decided to not go with the new patch, because I think the release of 5.0.16 was quite literally as these guys were flying over. So, yeah, they would have maybe a few hours to practice, but that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They would probably just be playing their old builds, aka the ones that they're going for in this series right now, but it would then be with a different set of balanced patch notes, right? It wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. So they decided to play the modded version instead. Reaper Scout is not really going to catch much more. Serral not hiding a Roach Warren or a Baneling Nest or anything along those lines. Either way, we're still going to open up triple command center, Heli and Banshee here. Both players really opting to go for the most stock standard approach. And that's exactly what we don't really have on the new patch yet. We don't really know what the stock standard approach will ultimately be. Especially for Terran, a lot of them are currently opening up 2cc in Terran versus Zerg rather than, well, a really quick third command center. And likewise, Zergs just seem to be able to trampoline into the mid game with a huge advantage every single game right now. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure if it would have been smart to play on the latest balance patch instead. I'm sure Serral would have been fine with it, but not the case for this particular match. Okay, it's going to be a quick lair, though. This is a very fast lair, all things considered. No Evo Chambers, no Baneling Nest, no Roach Warren, no Spore Crawlers, no nothing. We are just going straight lair. Not even really that many queens. We've only got 5 queens at this point in time. We're still pumping them out 2 at a time, but this is all certainly a little bit risky here. Not a strategy that Serral would be likely to go for on the ladder, but I think in a tournament series, especially a best-of-7, when it's the first to win 4 maps who will be the victor, I think it's very clever to mix in something that is a little bit risky. We do have the Banshee, though, going in. Cloak is going to be done in about a half minute. Serral starts up just about right now. A couple of the Spore Crawlers here. I'm assuming we'll let at least one of them finish and maybe add some more as well in the other bases. Obviously, having the lair done, though, allows you to make an Overseer, and that's exactly what he fires up immediately. It'll probably be wandering around the bases defensively, considering that the Queens need a little bit of support. He doesn't yet know, though, of the cloaking field. There is a second Banshee as well for Maru, who's going to be sending this one all the way up north as well. Fourth hatchery in a little bit of trouble, but Serral really just happily holding down the drone button. Did he really just go lair? Ah, okay. To just get an Overseer out initially. Now, this is a nice cancel. But did he really just go lair? Mostly just to get an Overseer out and then eventually go into a Spire? Fair enough. Very quick Spire. Circling run by in the meantime over in the natural expansion, actually, of the Terran 2. Ah, that is why. Maru going to the same school as Hero has gone to over the last couple of years. Having a little opening in your natural wall off just like that. I was actually a little bit surprised to see the minimap blinking there. But apparently there's a hole in the wall. And that immediately allows Serral to punish Maru here and get 5 SCV kills. Honestly, a really solid start here for Serral. So first off, right, he gets away with this very greedy Spire. He doesn't take any damage from units that have Cloak. At least not anything significant just yet. Big investment here for Maru, none of it really paying off. Serral playing greedy, and then also getting 5 SCVs to boot. With a little Zergling run by. Evo Chamber is done. We'll probably go into 1-1 in a moment, but for now, we've mostly just saved up gas. There we go, to go for 9 Mutalisk all at the same time. Now, the Arc Slop enjoyers over here will be sad to note that this is the old Mutalisk. The one with the slightly less powerful Arc Slop, whatever it exactly means, nobody truly knows. But Mutas on the new patch are a little bit more microable than these particular guys will be. Still though, it's quite uncommon to see, especially in the previous patch, to see Zerg players opening up with Mutas like this. This is going to very likely catch Maru off guard. Failing speed is done already. 1-1 is late though for Serral because of this. We did have the Banshees actually seeing the Mutas as well on the minimap. That's quite nice. If Maru can fire up 2-2 here soon enough, I think he should be in a pretty good position regardless. 1 SCV going down thus far. Missile turrets start up, kind of like the Spore Crawlers from earlier. -1 siege tank, fair enough. Marine drop in the meantime has returned back home. That's 2 siege tanks. Banshee. Could have cloaked it. Lovely bit of micro here, though, by Serral. He's going to lose 1 Muta, it seems. 2 of them in total here throughout this game, but already, right, if you look at the minimap, Serral's just so comfortable. We have a 5th hatchery done. He's up to 84 workers. We have, well, ready-to-go creep tumors all over the map. This is a pretty difficult spot to be in for Zerg, because there are so many different balls to juggle at this stage in the game. But I think Serral can manage all of that just fine. Let's maybe do a little bit of first-person view. That's one of the big downsides of playing Mutaling Bane. If you want to stay up to date on all of your... My god, this is almost nauseating to watch. Huh, he's surprisingly scrolly, actually. Normally he doesn't scroll this much. What in the world is that jitteriness? I know Serral uses middle mouse scrolling rather than edge scrolling. Maybe that's why it looks a little bit funky over here in the replay's first-person view, but... That was him injecting 6 bases, by the way. Did you see? I don't know if you noticed. Okay, let me grab control of the camera again. Yeah, a little disgusting. Serral actually doesn't, so... he mentioned this at a Home Story Cup a few years ago. You know how most players, when they scroll around on the screen, will use their mouse to touch the corner of the screen, right? Like they use edge scrolling? Most StarCraft players are edgers. Serral is a middle mouse scroller instead, so he presses middle mouse button and drags the mouse around. And I wonder if that's why it looks a little bit funky. I actually asked him at the time, like, how long did it take you to get used to middle mouse scrolling? Because if you've been playing the game for like a decade plus, pretty much every single day, going for, you know, an entirely different way of maneuvering the camera around sounds really annoying to me, but he said it took me like a day. Couple games and I knew how to do it. Apparently it didn't really bother him all too much. And obviously it makes sense, in theory at least, right? Because if you're already with your mouse in the middle of the screen, microing units and controlling your queens and all the rest of it, it does seem better if you don't have to take your mouse all the way, all over the screen, right? If you're just kind of always containing your mouse in the middle portion of it. Anyways, here we go. Big attack coming in for Serral. Mutas do decide to fly away from the Thor as the planetary fortress gets blown up. Loads of SCVs die as well. Lovely attack here by Serral, but also some pretty stellar defense for Maru in the end. Keep in mind, of course, the planetary is expensive, but banelings are also not free. Plenty of command centers just about ready to go. He'll be replacing this in a moment. The Maru did save the majority of the workers. Yeah, the rest of them going back down to the base over here at the bottom. Maybe a little bit of first-person view as well for Maru then. Yeah, I mean, this is a slightly less spicy portion of the game here. I love the Thor defense, by the way. Yeah, the Medivacs and the Thors, man, it's so sick. Oh, he left one of them behind. Didn't even try to defend it. In the meantime, the Zergling counterattack coming in yet again. This base over here, of course, can be lifted off, and that's exactly what Maru does. But Serral is looking absolutely monstrous so far in this game. It looks so comfortable, right? We have such a big economy, 90 workers, Hive coming up, full map control in favor of the Zerg, a really solid amount of creep spread too, but you can tell here that it's not quite perfect, even with 400 plus actions per minute. So he finds more worker kills here since the missile turret is gone. Even with more than 400 average actions per minute, there's still not quite enough APM to stay on top of all of the creep tumors too. But this is looking like it's on rails right now here for the finisher. Reinforcing Mutas. But I've got the feeling that maybe we'll be switching away from Mutas in a moment. I would not be surprised to see a Ultralisk Cavern here coming up in just a sec. What exactly is going on, though, on the other side of the map? We have a transition right now towards Widow Mines. I don't think that's a bad play at all. Now that we are maxed out, siege tanks are still nice, of course, but not quite as critical, although you always do kind of need like a bit of a backbone, especially as you spread yourself more and more thinly around all of the different bases. Really, though, Maru doesn't have... Like, he's got a good economy and he's got a lot of production here, but it does kind of feel like we are waiting for Serral to come and hit him in the face. Right? Like, he's sitting here passively waiting for the Zerg to come smack him. Zerg is just about ready for another smack over here. Ultra Cavern, indeed, on the back of all of this. Yeah, here we go. This is what you're kind of waiting for as a Terran player. You need more command centers. And then you can eventually take a planetary down over here. Maybe another base over here as well on the right. But for now, Maru is very much so behaving like a bit of a punching bag. Look at Serral already grabbing the base over here on the left. Usually these bases, these site expansions on White Rabbit are quite difficult for players to hold on to. Serral trying to grab the both of them. And I love the early transfer of the drones, actually. So, yeah, he's purposefully spreading drones from the natural and then this base over here to guarantee quick mining on the hard-to-mine bases, right? So it's very likely you'll lose this base at some point in the future, but it's very unlikely that you won't have access to the mineral fields in your own natural expansion, right? So you can always sort of leave these as like a little treat later on in the game, transfer drones back to it. I always like it whenever players decide to mine the more difficult to take bases first, because it just makes a lot of sense. Same over here, look. One of those two bases, right, has to be the Terrans. Maru really cannot allow Zerg to have, well, 50% of the map and then one entire extra base. That's a lot. Doesn't really matter how cost-effective you are at that point in time. You just run out of steam over, well, the course of a full game. Obviously, that's like a 45-minute win condition, but still. Banelings are scrolling through this side of the map again too, though. So many SCVs dying. And while the music in the background is very peaceful, I don't think Maru is having a good time at all. 8 Ultralisks coming up. Microbial Shroud, aka the upgrade that needs to be researched in this particular version of the game, but not in the new one. Aka the ability that's been buffed to the absolute moon. Serral is going to get it here before Neural Parasite. Building armor coming up for Maru. Yeah, that's nice to have. High-sec auto-tracking. I wouldn't mind seeing that one either. That's extra range for the planetaries. But so far, Maru is, yeah, just kind of sitting here and getting punched in the mouth. Now, I say that, obviously, yes, he's lost a lot, but he is still fully maxed out. He still has really good upgrades, and he's still building up a bank. These outer bases, though, have me a little bit worried, right? Because the type of playstyle that Maru is going for really is aiming for a type of victory late into the game. And Serral mining those 2 bases that are shared is a huge deal. A lot of Widow Mines available. Oh, nice detonation over there. This may very well allow the Terran to go in for a counterattack. In the meantime, though, we have some Ultras as well, hitting whatever they can over on the left side. The problem is, when Maru finally backs up again and gets rid of these Zergling and Ultra counterattacks, Serral's fully maxed out yet again. More Zerglings, more Ultras. We're even getting the +1 missile upgrade here. Not that any Zerg units here other than the Queens benefit from it, but you never know. 69 Zerglings available, not bad. Finally, we have some Ghost production coming in. Ghost Liberator is usually what Terrans go for in the late game. Maru forcing himself not to play that style too early. A couple of Burrowed Banes. Dude, playing against Serral seems so freaking hard. Maru's not even playing badly. That's the thing, man. Maru's actually playing good. I was gonna say it's like playing against an iron wall, but that's not even really the case, because this is the type of wall that's hitting you back. Not sure what type of wall that really would be, but seriously. Here we go, the Mutas again, the ones that we haven't really focused on in a while. Flapping his little wings all around the map. Creep spread now pretty much crossing, well, like what, 70% of the map or so, or covering 70% of the map. Here's the missile turrets over at this base going down too. Yeah, and in a straight up macro game, it seems to me that nobody does it better than Serral. And that may also be one of the issues right here for Maru, right? Like, Maru will be practicing in his games against, for example, somebody like Rogue. Maybe he'll be playing against Shin, right? Those 2 players are really good, but I don't think they're Serral levels of good. And it can be a little bit of disjointed practice, because you believe that you have a really good handle on the Zerg versus Terran late game, and that this very passive approach is the way forward. But then you go up against Serral, and he just seems to be a little bit sharper across the board. And what do you do? What do you do right now as a Terran? You're maxed out, you have all the upgrades you want. We're going into more starports, you're just kind of sitting here, making sure that you get more command centers going. But in the meantime, these bases on the outside of the map are mining out. In like, give it another 6, maybe 7 minutes. These bases are out. Serral will have gobbled up resources that are no longer available anymore at all. And that means you now have to effectively, just get extremely lucky as Terran in order to win. There's only really one more mineable base over here at the bottom. Keep in mind, Serral still has these expansions, right? Like, he's actually been forcing his workers to the front lines, mining the much more dangerous bases. So Serral's taking those very difficult to take ones first, leaving the cheapo ones, the easy to mine ones, available for a rainy day. He may not even need it, honestly. Oh, we have a transition towards mech? Or is this just additional factory production for when we ultimately do move out? All right, Maru is trying to carve a little bit of a path through the creep. Serral's got 15,000 resources in the bank, though. Yeah. So where did it go wrong in this game for Maru? I think it's just too passive of an approach. Serral was allowed to do whatever he liked. He took some big risks, right, in the early game. This obviously is not a match that's over just yet, but it does seem like an uphill battle here for Maru. Serral decided to go really quick lair. No Baneling Nest early on. No upgrades early on. No Roach Warren early on at all. Not even any detection, really, against the Cloaked Banshee until the Cloaked Banshee already showed up. Maru not capitalizing on any of it, and then, well, we end up in this situation that we are in right now. Wait, do we have 2 Greater Spires? Oh, my production tab is bugged out. Look at that. Never seen that before. That's weird. Why in the world are there 2 Greater Spires? Wait, the Greater Spire turned into a Zergling. Incredible. Maybe this is because of the mod. I don't know. Probably, actually. Look, regardless of the outcome in this particular match, right on this particular map, I think Maru needs to be switching up his game plan for the next match, or the next map rather, in this match, because just letting Serral do whatever he likes, you end up in a game like this. And while it's still technically winnable, it's gonna require a series of mistakes right here for Serral for this to now go in favor of Maru. It's weird because Maru is rich, it's just that his opponent is even richer. Fungal growth across the little line of sight blocker. Nice army here, though, for Maru. Keep in mind that Zerg can always just decide to counterattack instead. Serral's still mining those outer bases, by the way. Tactical nuke coming up. Okay, I love it. Not a bad choice. Zerglings coming in around the sides, though. Fungal growths yet again. Banelings hunting down the very expensive ghosts. And while the army on the right is not quite big enough for Serral to keep pushing through, this is still a very successful fight for Zerg across the board. He'll just retake the hatchery right over here. And he'll continue mining for, yeah, another moment. Could temporarily transfer the drones over here, but I think Serral's just going to long-distance mine it instead. Lots of static defense, by the way, over here, too. That's kind of sick. Anyways, in the meantime, the Ultraling Bane army going in for the counter-offensive. I think that's a planetary gone. Liberators being sniped out of the skies. 14 SCVs die, too. And if anything, this is going to give Serral a ton of time right now to rebuild the base over here. Because Maru will get busy trying to reestablish the mineral line over here at the bottom. Which is going to give Serral more time to then mine the base over on the right. Yeah, this is Serral in his element. Nobody's ever played StarCraft 2 really at this level like him. It's just not something you generally see. This is the real advantage, right, of not playing in a whole lot of small online cups. If you play in the $400 weeklies, you're gonna give your opponents direct practice against this exact approach. Serral purposefully doesn't do it. He'll bring it out for a $20,000 event. It's a lot more reasonable. And this isn't even the patch where Zerg appears to be busted. Like, dude, Serral on the new patch... I'm honestly a little bit scared for the opposition. Unless Terrans and Protoss will figure something out. I have no idea how you stop this, man. It's actually ridiculous. Fungal growth? No. Microbial Shroud. Microbial Shroud on the Ultras. Orbital Command not lifted in time, it seems. Although Serral's actually decided to back up. That's a little bit of a misplay here. But look at the banks. Maru is flat broke. Serral has 20,000 resources available. He'll probably play this safe and just give up on the hatch. I wouldn't be surprised. He does this all the time in his games. No reason to risk it. No Nidus Worm actually over here to try and evacuate the workers. Oh, apparently a little Zergling run by over here, forcing the siege tanks to deal friendly fire. Okay, he's not going to give up on the base. Instead, he decides to send it through the liberation circles. This is probably the worst fight Serral will take all game. Still pretty good. Yeah. And when it comes to the total amount of mining now in this particular game, assuming every single base is gonna run out from here, Serral probably has about, what, 60, maybe a little bit more than 60% of the total map's resources? Assuming Terran actually mines this base out. If not, Serral will have significantly more than that. So you just can't really fight against it. Look at the cost efficiency here, too, on these units. Serral's actually getting a near 1-to-1 trade while simultaneously aiming for mining like 2/3 of the map. That's crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. This is some of the most dominant StarCraft I've seen. Absolute world-class Terran, by the way. Hatchery over on the left is in some trouble, but Maru is no longer able to afford maxing out. The Corruptors are merciful for this orbital command. Never mind. Jeez Louise. Yeah, so this is the patch that Blizzard looked at and thought, Zerg needs a buff. It's actually disgusting. Like, this type of game, you look at it and you wonder, what do you even do as Terran? Maru did not play poorly. Crazy. Yeah, Zerg really is significantly stronger on the new patch. Actually insane. I think the first time we'll see Serral play on the new patch is going to be Home Story Cup, which takes place, well, as of me casting this weekend, this upcoming weekend. The ghosts have to run. Yeah, again, a horrible fight for Zerg. Really quite bad. Serral actually kind of slow on remaxing. Oh, it doesn't have enough larva. Okay. Okay, this is the only scary moment in the game, I think, for Serral, because he did not quite inject his bases perfectly. So he's actually run out of larva production altogether. Yeah, that makes this cleanup surprisingly scary. Microbial Shroud for the Banelings to roll into siege tanks and Thors. Sure. Sure, I don't think that's optimal, really. You know what's kind of funny? I don't obviously have the camera for these players, but I can already guarantee you that this is the type of game that Serral will be reasonably unhappy with, you know? He'll be like shaking his head over how these last couple of minutes have gone. Throw in a couple of Finnish swear words as well that he likes to mumble to himself. Here we go again, though. Now that the larvae have kicked in, Serral decides to go on the counterattack again. And I think this will be the final push here for the Zerg, because Maru really has no other choice than to GG out. Absolute masterclass right here in game number 1 of this best of 7. By the way, this is a best of 7. It's a lot of games. But GG gets pulled. Serral absolutely demolishes Maru. Okay, and that will take us to game number 2, which takes place on Verdant Temple. It's always nice to have a full reset at the start of a game, right? You go back to your good old command center, your good old SCVs. It's a clean slate. Clearly, what you don't do, at least in my opinion, is let Serral dictate the pace of the match. I don't think you can really sit back, play it passively, and then let him out-macro you. It's just not a good play. So I'm hoping here for Maru that either he's got something spicy prepared, something to maybe throw a bit of a curveball and force Serral off of his game plan, or maybe play something very greedy himself too. But already we don't have any sort of barracks on the other side of the map. We don't have a command center first here for the Terran either. It's fine, but I do kind of feel like you have to cut some sort of corner. Hatch into pool here for the Zerg. No gas geyser yet. It's a little bit weird. We take it now. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, we are now a little oversaturated here on minerals. So forcing the third drone onto this faraway mineral field. You do still get a little bit of additional income, actually, but usually... Yeah, he's forcing the drones onto the faraway mineral fields now. Usually we go 16 drones and then get the extra 3 workers, which he's done right now as well, the faraway mineral field ones, onto the gas geyser here. Fair enough. Command center in the meantime on the low ground, and we've got ourselves a Reaper coming up as well. Okay. Reaper into Marine. All of this is stock standard Terran yet again. Serral does have a little Overlord over here, peeping on his opponent's command center. Knowing the timing at which it starts basically gives him a full intel on exactly what the Terran is going for in this game so far. So he'll know the timing of the gas geyser. He'll know the timing of the, well, lack of a second refinery here. He'll know the timing at which the Reaper will show up. The likelihood of a Marine following this up too. This map is a little tricky, I will say. We haven't really seen this map a ton. It's a bit weird because we have this forward expansion over here that you can only reach by going around the site. So I think this map, in the description of it, I think the map maker said that it's supposed to be inspired by a map called King Sejong Station, which you may recall from about a decade ago. Serral takes a proxy hatch. Yeah, so that's really my only thing on this map. It's difficult to expand on it. We never see Serral taking proxy bases, though. Why? There is a free to take third on either side. This is the most likely location. There's a cheeky little mineral-only path over here. That only a worker-only path right over here. The cheeky little skinny mineral fields over there. You can send a worker down and take the expansion at the bottom. But why go for the proxy base? Well, Terran's looking around, right? So Maru has checked the most likely locations for a Zerg third base, and he'll see that there is none. What do you then assume as a Terran player? Probably some sort of two-base Zerg. Two-base Zerg usually means quick Mutas, maybe a quick Nidus Worm, maybe a quick Roach attack, something along those lines. Nice grenade. Not what's going on in this game at all. Serral's actually playing the macro game with a very risky expansion in the far bottom right. If Maru decides to now play it overly safe, he's in a little bit of trouble. No Hellions, by the way, on the back of this. So scouting is just really hard. Supply depot not getting cancelled. SCV also not running away. This depot may very well also bite the dust. So Serral's just going to nibble away at it for a little bit as the Reaper came back home through one final grenade and then exploded. So no vision out on the map at all. Maru has no clue on this particular expansion. This is one of those weird spots, though, where if Terran just assumes it's a normal match, he doesn't really have to be too worried. Now, this is already Terran mixing it up. We actually have almost like an old-school 2-1-1 right here for the Terran. Yeah, 16 Marine drop. Fair enough. 16 Marine drop with 13 Marines. You love to see it. Very uncommon build, of course, in the modern age. We don't usually see this anymore. It's a big mystery, though, for the Terran now. Like, I can't really overemphasize it, because Maru assumes that this is only just now a third base for the Zerg player, when in reality it's the fourth base of the Zerg. Not enough links available, though. You do need like 30 links here. A lot more Zerglings coming out. This could actually be quite good for the Terran. Yeah, so Maru is happy to trade here because he believes he's economically ahead. Ay, ay, ay. Cheeky Queen injecting in the bottom right. We may very well take the gases over here as well. 1-1 upgrades for the Zerg kicking in just a moment. Lair only just now finishing up. Baneling speed, though, will not be too far behind it. Maru yet again, mixing it up a little bit, but mixing it up in the wrong direction. He's doubling down on just this Marine-based mid-game. And if this is indeed the Zerg's third base, he'll be pretty happy about how all of it is going. But that's not the case at all. Now, you gotta be wondering at this point as a Terran, right? Where did Zerg spend all of that time? If he did indeed go quick lair, if he is playing two bases, then where are the Mutalisks? Where's the Nidus network? Where's the Roach push? Maru does not seem to be really considering those two things very much, though, because if Mutas indeed were coming across the map, he has zero defense against it. He's once more laying down an attack over here on the left, but this seems like a bit of a miscalculation here from the Terran, if I can be so honest. I don't really like this very much. Oh, look at that. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. Maru is being a little bit complacent in this game, honestly. Like, it's a very easy base to snipe, but he's just not bothered checking for it. Additional barracks coming up right now for the Terran, who's happy to trade. Happy to trade. Okay. Now, what exactly do we do with this little guy over here? Whoa, are those zealots? I know there's a fight going on just at the bottom of this, but are those zealots? I think they are zealots over there. What in the world, man? Some sort of pagan ritual over here. Maybe it's midsummer in the Kuprulu sector. A couple weeks ago, I looked up midsummer on stream. And I learned that in the great country of Sweden, people do unspeakable things during midsummer. I can almost picture the little Ewok over here with like a flower crown. What's going on, man? I have no idea. All right, infestation pit in the meantime inside of the main base here for Serral. Maru's gotta start wondering, man, where are these Zerg units coming from? Where? Serral's actually now finally taking this base over here. Maru will see that there's no mining going on in that spot either. This is such a clumsy game, actually. It's just across the board. We're just kind of flying around with a couple medevacs. We're just kind of hoping for the best. Obviously, the micro is at a very high level, but strategically, this is quite a clumsy game. Likewise here, though, for Serral. Like, yeah, he's gotten away with the proxy base, but it's not really all that amazing. Economically speaking, Terran's totally fine. Now, finally, we'll fire up another round of workers, and despite being 3 bases versus 2 bases for quite a while, Serral's not really been able to capitalize on it. And now, Maru will find out why this base, or why this game, rather, has been a little bit weird. Oh, no, that's -3 siege tanks. Why in the world did we try to siege it up there at the end? When the Lings were already on top of him, that was never going to happen. That's 3 siege tanks down the drain, and that means now that this base is extremely vulnerable. Banelings blocking each other for a little bit. Serral decides to respect the siege tanks up on the high ground, backs up right there. In the meantime, there is a medevac drop, continuing harassment as well over here in the middle of the map. Medevac's running low, though. We should go home, go home, go home. Okay, Maru does indeed notice it. No reason to give up all of those units for free. As I'll shut up since the music of my people is playing. This is kind of like the lull in the song, right? This is good. This is good for Maru. Leaving the base at just a little bit of health. Okay. Maru actually now navigating this particular match into a pretty comfortable spot. He should really fire up the +2 armor upgrade. Yeah, that one's actually very late. I'm a bit surprised by it. We do have double engineering bay. He must have forgotten one of the 2 upgrades. Rather sloppy mistake. Serral's getting +3/+3 going together with Adrenal Glands. He is just playing Ling Bane though, right? So these medevacs are kind of insane. Base in the middle of the map, also in a world of trouble. Zerglings do go in for the wraparound. Serral trying to collapse on top of his army from every single side. No counter against the medevacs though. Allows Maru to yet again lift up and get on out of there. There's more siege tanks up on the high ground. Widow Mines get some really beautiful detonations. No Adrenal Glands, no +3. So Serral actually a little bit preemptive. I guess he's mostly just trying to see if he can potentially get some damage done. And you know what? That is indeed a good number of workers. What? What? There ain't no way, dude. There's 4 Marines outside of the map. You guys don't even exist. You can happily use your Stimpaks, I suppose, but you're stuck. You are very stuck. Not ideal. Yeah, that's weird. All right. Base in the bottom right. Once more, going up. Parasitic bombs right now to counter the medevacs. I find it very interesting to be countering the medevacs here with parabombs. Most people would choose to go either like Hydras or maybe Mutalisks or Corruptors or something along those lines. Not Serral. This was a rather messy game, but one that ultimately does result in a Zerg win. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Blackrock. This particular map did make it to the official ladder map pool, so this is indeed the ladder edition, the LE version of the map. And apparently Maru has decided that now is the time that we send out the boys. 2 SCVs, 2 barracks is what I imagine this is going to be. Now, it's time to throw a little bit of a curveball. Honestly, that previous game was not really that good for Serral, I don't think. I mean, he won, So the score is nice, but that was by no means the best game we've ever seen him play. We're going hedge into pool, into gas yet again, apparently. Fair enough. No Overlord, though, heading in that direction just yet. Although this one, I guess, may very well arrive there at some point down the line. It's certainly not going to be in time. We can eventually go for a command center on the low ground, of course. But it's all a little bit expensive. Just good old marine production here. Okay, time for Serral to do a little bit of panicking. Here we go. This will be the first time that he sees, immediately plants down a roach warren, saves the Overlord by moving it up towards the high ground. I thought we were going to try and pull a couple of workers, but not quite the case. Apparently, we're just going to try and save up a little bit, of money here to make some roaches. This is really not that committed of an attack, though, here for the Terran either. Second gas guys are coming up inside of the main base. Larva saved on the low ground, it seems. Yeah, he makes a couple of units out of it right now. Overlord on the other side of the map will scout that indeed there is no base taken for the Terran. Here's the Queen popping out. Queen in a natural expansion will be moving as well in just a moment. That's why Serral actually waited, I guess, with the Lynx. He wants to try and help out Brenda. Cancels all of the extra production on the low ground. And now that we have resources done, we can get some roaches going. I don't know if Serral needed to... Let me grab control of the camera again. I don't know if Serral really needed to be giving up on that low ground expo. Maybe he thought that this was going to be a triple Rex proxy here for Maru. Not the case. Maru committing, somewhat, I guess, to this particular attack. But it's really not the end of the world for Terran at all. Now the roaches are out, but can they actually be useful for anything else? Of course, they are going to be able to break through this bunker. The command center, or the Zerg command center, the hatchery here, can be made again in a moment. Oh, I like that! Woo, cheeky little pump out of the... Okay, jump out of the bunker. Ultimately, though, the drone does not die. Bunker does also end up falling. These days, you can no longer salvage the bunker while it is taking damage. A little bit different. One of the two barracks, though, has gone for the scout. The other one is still on its way home. As we have... Wait a second. Sorry, I need to pause. Did they change the orcs on Blackrock? What? Wait, I only just now realized that. Dude, I've seen a bunch of games. They have gotten rid of the orcish... No way. The orcs are gone, the tents are gone too. They've been replaced with the elite Tauren chieftain and silly little fires. Map is still called Blackrock though, so I guess at least there's the Warcraft reference. Nah. Honestly, a little bit of a shame. It's weird. I've casted like a half dozen games on this map, but I haven't yet noticed it. Yeah, apparently all of them are indeed gone. Okay. Cyclone right now on the back of this here for Maru, who's going to need something to try and deal with these roaches, and then also the Ravager. Overlord here to provide high ground vision. Medevac here as well is really quite nice, though. Oh, we have a very quick lair. So ultimately, this is now resulting into like a one-base lair build here for Serral. In the meantime, two command centers being made simultaneously here for Maru. And while this game starts off really cheesy, I think both players are happy to now transition towards a more macro-focused mid-game. Kind of depends, though, on what the lair is for. We kind of need to do something with it. What do you do with one base lair? What do you do with one base lair as Zerg? I don't think you do really very much. Serral also has pulled out of gas. I think we'll probably just see like roach speed start up, maybe like a defensive overseer or something, but that's probably mostly it. Maru fishing for some freebies. Gets a worker, not bad. There's actually an SCV here inside of the medevac. Wait a second. Why are you here? Yeah, so there's roach speed. Okay, double overseer. Hey! We do still have one of the orcish towers. Huh. There's actually one over here, too. The orcs around the campfire, though, have been replaced with Ewoks and Tauren chieftains. Fair enough. Oh, very ambitious siege up right there on that overseer. Is that always there on the map? A little bit of blue blood at the bottom of the command center? Okay. Creep tumor snipe over here in the middle. And I guess we're just really playing a bit of a macro game. Like, Serral's going roach speed. But I really don't think he's planning on getting a ton of value out of the roaches for now. Maru's done a really good job, though. Sniping a lot of the freebies. Banshee going in. No cloak this time around. Maybe the watchtower provides cloak, you know? Maybe this provides vision. Not a bad idea. Infestation pit coming up. So, despite the fact that this has been... Are we really just rushing up to a hive? Is that the goal? Despite the fact that this was originally one base lair, I guess Serral is really just trying to play the macro game and use it as a way to go straight towards hive? Pretty expensive, though, off of this many workers. Usually Zergs will rarely go for a hive on like 40, 50 workers. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Adrenal glands, Vipers. Maybe if you get them early enough, they can still be extremely good. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we have a very predictable follow-up right here for Maru. Lots of marine production, lots of upgrades. He's a little late, actually, on the armory here, because +1 infantry weapons is already done. You're supposed to start at +2 right now. Maru, having those upgrades a bit disjointed, I guess kind of lost track of it a little. He is going to now use this, though, as an opportunity to go down to the low ground with the CC and begin mining his third base. Don't think Serral's going to do anything about it, as he does indeed fire up a hive. Considering the proxy barracks, right, and then the fact that Zerg lost their original natural, to see a pre-8-minute hive start is kind of crazy. I feel like this is kind of one of those fun tests. If you're a Zerg player on the ladder, open up one of your own replays where you know you end up going hive and check the timing at which you go for a hive. This is like 7:40 or so on the hive start time, which is crazy early, considering the situation. It's before +1 melee is even done, man. This hive is going to be done before +1 melee. Kind of weird. Serral forced to do a little bit of Zerg yoga because he lost his natural, but I guess it's fine, because there doesn't really seem to be much of an intention of counterattacking anytime soon here for Maru. And I guess the idea, right, is that, like, you kind of need all of these things eventually. So if we're not planning on being aggressive anytime soon as Zerg anyways, we may as well just grab the hive early on and lean into some of those later game, technically at least later game upgrades, and maybe get a Viper or two out, because they're always really nice defensively too. But usually you go into droning first, and then all the other stuff. Fungal, get out of there, Maru. The Cyclones are still hanging out over on the right side of the map. New hatchery coming up as well in the upper left-hand corner. Now, neither player really is looking to go for any sort of real committed pressure anytime soon, it seems. Maru does have an opportunity to go at about a half minute or so from now. Do like an attack with 2-2 finishing up. But he's already seen a whole lot of infestors with energy, so I don't really know if he's going to be too keen on moving out. Quick adrenal glands here as well. Ultralisk Cavern on the back of this. The creep spread has been very lackluster, though. Yeah, we've only got 5 queens, that's why. 5 queens is significantly less than what you usually do as a Zerg player. So it's all feeling a little bit disjointed here for the Zerg. Like, yeah, we're playing big macro. Yeah, we're doing quick hive. But in the meantime, we're not really doing anything with it. So that means we're playing the macro game, but then we don't really have enough queens to really be spreading creep around, and we don't really have enough creep to properly play the macro game. It feels a little bit disjointed, and because of that, I really do like this position here for Maru. Mostly, though, because of Serral's decision-making here, so I find this, I find this a little bit weird. Obviously, we'll be able to play this spot, but... No banelings, by the way. Just straight infestors. Banshee going in. New medevac drop. 4 Widow Mines inside of this one. Okay. Ready to deal some pressure. There's a Spore Crawler in this base, though, so easy pickoffs here for Serral. Oh, hello, 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 what? Okay. Well then. Yeah, kind of hate all of that. 3 drones is nice and all, but certainly not good enough. Yeah, you can kind of feel the momentum shifting right now. Like, this game has been really good for Maru, but now we're not really doing anything with it. We're doing the same thing as what he did in game number 1, from a slightly better spot, sure. But he's effectively making the same decisions as what he did in game number 1. Playing it super passive, getting more command centers out, trying to turtle up. And we saw what happened in game 1, when you try to play the big macro game against Serral. I think Serral actually may have gone Hive because of that. He probably predicted this exact decision here from the Terran. Maybe he's determined that if Maru sees any sort of infestor play, he's gonna just sit back and play it as a passive match instead. Still no banelings, by the way. I find this a little bit surprising. We have a baneling nest, but we've not really made any of the units, nor have we made the upgrade for the banelings. Looks like Serral is preparing for a counterattack over here towards the bottom right. Taking another expansion as well in the upper left. And Blackrock does just feature so many freaking bases. There's just so many expansions, right? Such a huge map. Here we go again, man. Microbial Shroud. I really wonder how good Microbial Shroud truly is on the new patch. We've been seeing it more and more in this version of StarCraft 2, so in 5.0.15. Fungal. Ooh, spicy. Serral already has been making great use of the ability, and now it is really significantly stronger on the new patch. All the talk is currently about larva generation, but I really wonder how busted this particular spell is for Zerg right now in the live version of the game. Some attempted drops right here from Maru, but it all feels a little lackluster, I will say. Like, I don't really love this for the Terran. It's a fine position to play. I just don't know if it's technically the best thing you can do here. Because you've established an advantage, and then we're trying to do the thing where we get more ahead, right? So we get an advantage early on, and we try to just sort of lean into that small lead, letting a lot of pressure off the opponent. And that means that Serral is gonna arrive at like 90 workers. He is gonna get the creep spread going. He will be mass expanding all over the map. Building armor coming up. Ooh, I love the little animation over here in the armory. That's new. You can kind of see it. It's kind of blocked here a little bit, but... Planetary Fortress over here in the far bottom right. Are there only 6 mineral fields on this base? Oh, yeah. 6 mineral fields and 1 gas. Weird. Never really see that on corner expansions. Nice little fight here yet again for Maru. But he does get pushed all the way back to his command center again at the bottom. I'm not sure why these corner bases have only half minerals. Or, well, 6 out of 8 mineral fields. Why do they have only 1 gas? Is this base considered to be too easy to acquire? I guess that's the idea. Maybe to entice players to take this expansion, actually, as their very first one over here in this section of the map. Maybe that's the reason why. Anyhow. Fungal growth yet again, man. Serral skill shotting left, right, and center. Ooh. Corruptors added into the mix, too. I do really like the Corruptors, though. Slowly clicking away through all of those Medivacs. Maru does end up sniping the hatchery over here on the right, but I don't think it really matters that much. Okay. Man, we could have tried to sneak away with some of those Widow Mines, but instead we just decided to move them around and keep them burrowed. New command centers coming up here in the meantime for Maru. Not really making any true transitions towards like a Ghost Liberator late game. As a matter of fact, we've only got one Liberator. No Ghosts at all. It does make you a lot more stationary, I suppose, right? So it does force you into a much more defensive position. So maybe that's the reason why. Serral finally going in. He made these Dropper Lords quite a while ago, and he got spotted at the time. Don't fly into the loving embrace of the missile turrets. Okay. Unlike the Medivac drop on the other side of the map, the Overlords do decide to turn back around. Believe it or not, you should not be flying into missile turrets. Or Spore Crawlers if you cannot all avoid it. This is good, though, here for Maru. Winning the tug of war over here on the right side of the map. Command centers coming up in large numbers now. A little bit of a Zergling run by in the meantime on the left side of the map, but honestly at this stage in the game, you don't really care that much about a few SCV losses here and there. Yep, we're up to 6 command centers now with orbital commands on top of them. Siege tank there, getting a couple more kills as well on the SCVs. Counterattack here through the middle. Planetary Fortress available, though. Will be difficult for Serral to push into it. Good defense for Maru. This is also good. Maru taking the base over on the left side of the map. Preventing Zerg from mining it. And these minerals have barely been touched by the Zerg, so certainly still something that Terran can consider taking a little bit later on in the game. Corruptors going in around the site, but there's men with the missile turrets there too. Corruptor's caustic spray, though, deals a lot of damage. Missile turret guys or not, that's a planetary down. You know what solved that problem? More missile turrets. Smart. We have an infestor sharking around over here. A land shark. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Hatchery over on the right side dies again, though. The 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock bases have been extremely difficult for Serral to take. And we saw how important they were on White Rabbit. This is now allowing Maru to grab a bigger bank than the Zerg player has. It's really good for Maru. I think Serral probably is going to have to mix things up a little bit, because if this keeps going, as Maru is attempting to snipe another base, nicely done. If this keeps going, I think Maru is just going to have an overwhelming amount of economy. Trying to long-distance mine one of those bases right now is also kind of risky. Serral re-establishing a bunch of bases over on the left side of the map. Fungal growth over here yet again, but I love the way in which Maru is backing up through the mineral fields. Allowing these Zerg units to go in through it single file. Planetaries over here as well. Easy to fall back to. That should not be a kill on those bases over here, although the Banelings, okay, are going to force this army to back up. Planetary does die, but that was quite costly for the Zerg. We have an Infestor, good scan. Orbital Command is going to replace that Planetary Fortress from earlier. Okay, okay, this is really nice here for Maru. What's absolutely key in this game is that Maru is denying the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock base. If Zerg has both of those, there's not really much you can do. But the creep spread is lackluster, the economy for Serral is lackluster, and while he had really quick hive, he didn't really get to make a lot of use of it. He's also playing this unit composition over here, which is extremely dependent on a fungal growth. That's why I'm a little bit surprised Maru has not mixed in any sort of, well, EMP, right? I don't think it'd be a bad choice to make a few ghosts. Anyhow, he wants to rely on scans instead, which is decent enough. No liberators here for the Terran player either, which is also a bit surprising, considering all of the choke points here on the map. But it's fine, right? Like, I think this is a very winnable spot here for the Terran for sure. He certainly wants to try and keep denying these bases, though. Base on the left, base on the right. Zerg can technically have one of them, but that would mean that Terran needs to have the other. Denying both of them would be better. Fungal is yet again available. No scan over here just yet, although there is a missile turret. You may very well see the burrowed infestor in just a moment. Siege tank from the main base putting in the work. Counter-attack as well, but Fungal over here also being a nuisance, but... Okay. Even though the Fungal was good, the splits were also good, but enough Zerglings available to still clean all of this up. Base over here actually has disappeared. Was that an orbital? I think it was. Maru testing the waters, hoping to get lucky. Did not quite get lucky and instead lost the base. Misplay right there from the South Korean Terran for sure. Here go the Corruptors again. These lads have already done some caustic spraying in the past. You know what they say about Corruptors? When they get a taste for the caustic spray, they don't stop, man. Here we go. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Need to get more spraying in over here instead. Ooh. Drone also wants to really turn into a command center. Fungal growths available left, right, and center. Careful, Maru. Again, not quite dodging it in time. Ultras, man. I feel like Ultras have been getting so much value in this game where they really shouldn't have been able to. I think Serral saying to himself, yo, the first sign of a ghost, I'm switching out of Ultras. But Maru is not making any ghosts. Maru trying to pretend that he's Bjorn, who also has a little bit of a ghost allergy. Zerglings down to meat grinder, though. Running in single file against the Terran army like that, not ideal. Okay, and with this base over here being established, we have a full split map scenario. All of the bases above this line on the minimap are the Zergs. All of the bases down from the line are for the Terran. Creep spread is about halfway. So all of this, I think, is really good for Terran in the long run. If we look at the resources lost, Serral actually still remarkably efficient. Usually Zergs will have lost significantly more than the Terran, but Serral doesn't really seem to have that. Then again, Maru is effectively playing a mid-game army here. So that doesn't really help out the cost efficiency very much. Fungal yet again, man. We gotta start countering the infestors. Why are we not making ghosts? I don't get it. It's like, no. I don't want to make the best unit I have access to. I don't like the idea. I don't like it. Okay? It's 2 supply in this version of the game. It can hold 4 snipies at max energy. It has a beautiful spell called EMP. We're not using any of it. It's genuinely good against everything Zerg here, other than Ling Bane, I guess. But that's why we have the rest of the unit composition, right? Yeah. I guess the one argument to make is that, like, ghosts are just difficult to control. This map is extremely tight. Lots of little pathways. Very easy to accidentally lose track of your units. This map is actually very flat, so maybe that's the reason why Maru is a little hesitant. No high ground advantages here for the Terran. In the meantime, though, Zerg is once more pushing through the right side of the map. Corruptors just hitting whatever they can. Good hits over there, though, with the siege tanks and then the planetary too. 11 SCVs do ultimately die. Planetary over here also does disappear. Serral being very aggressive this game. It's kind of crazy how this game actually started with Zerg losing their natural, right? Remember that a half hour ago? This was once upon a time a one-base lair. I like this position for Maru slightly better than for Serral, but I find it surprising we do not have a transition to late game. Here we go again. That's another planetary down. Serral does need to be careful, though. He keeps throwing away units into those planetaries, and it's rarely a cost-effective trade. He's denying the bases, though, and that's ultimately going to be okay, assuming he can mine out his entire side of the map. Maru has now been reduced to 42 workers. That's the answer to the life, the universe, and everything else. Don't know if it's the answer, though, in a macro game of Terran versus Zerg. Good splitties right over there. Against the Widowmine. The Zergling run by yet again. And right now, it's starting to feel like this ebb and flow that Serral is sending around the map here is catching Maru off guard. Maru's like, oh no, the tide is turning again? Didn't it just turn yesterday? It's like, yes, that's what it does. That's how it works. Serral keeps sending it on the right, and then he keeps sending it on the left. And Maru is now chasing after it, rather than preempting it. Which is hurting him a lot more, man. That's an additional 24 SCVs falling. Maybe Maru losing a little bit of focus in this particular stage of the game. Keep in mind, these guys had to travel quite a while in order to make their way to Paris and play this particular best-of-7. Greater Spire coming up now for Serral, though. At some point, I think Zerg will have to transition towards a more sustainable unit composition. I think if Serral keeps throwing Ultraling Bane across the map, he's gonna eventually run out of steam as he runs out of resources. So Broodlord Infestor would be a really nice transition for him to make. Still, though, he's got some money available yet, and I guess because of it, he's inviting his opponent for another fungal growth. It's the polite thing to do if you're a Zerg. Yeah. Always invite your fans or your enemies. Maybe your girlfriend. For a fungal growth. Okay, maybe don't do that. Nah, it's kind of disgusting, actually. Don't do that. Zerg culture, man. It's weird. Nice snipe over there on the Infestors. That's 2 of them going down. I wonder if we should send a command center down to this low ground. There's still like 1,000 minerals available. A little bit more than that. Serral is now fully mining out the expansion over on the left side. And look, all of these Zerg bases are still doing a bit of mining, but it's starting to dry up, which is why we have this. Broodlords coming up. Okay. Still, no Liberators, no Ghosts. This is a very anti-Ultralisk army right now, but what are 23 Marauders going to do against Broodlords? Unless the Brutes fly into Widowmines, I suppose. Actually, a pretty nice hit. I think the Broodlord transition could have actually happened a while ago already, man. Now we go Ghosts. I really think Maru is kind of ruining it for himself, man. Why are we so late on countering these Ultras and Brutes? Marines should not really be able to get underneath, considering the number of Infestors nearby. Still, though, it's not really that many Broodlords yet. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see another batch of it. Lots of SCVs dying, though. Cheeky little Zergling run-bys. There's only 4 Infestors available, and now there's 5 Ghosts. Viking production also kicking in now. We actually have only 1 starport. That's kind of crazy. Normally you have at least 3 starports at this stage in the game as Terran. Maybe what the Marauders can do is run underneath the Broodlords, lay down on their backs, and then shoot the rockets into the air. How about that? Orbital Command is going to fall, though, at this rate. It's burning down right now. And Serral is now forcing his opponent to go into the corner of the map. Not a lot of anti-air available for the Zerg player at this point in time, though. No more well, for example, infested Terrans here available. No additional Corruptors either, but what we do have is a Microbial Shroud, allowing those Ultras to fight remarkably long. Ghosts, though, are really nice to have. Brute Lords will still aid in killing another command center. No liftoff right there for Maru, so that's -2 orbital commands. And to celebrate, Serral's entire army dying, he decides to take another base over here on the right. To celebrate killing his entire opponent's army, though, Maru decides to drop down a batch of mules. Serral doesn't like it. He hates mules. Hold position over here on the Zerglings. Maru has been reduced, by the way, to a mere 9 starter workers. That's more than the new patch starter count, but less than 5.0.15. Nice snipe over here on a hatchery, though. But of course, this is supposed to be the Terran's base anyways. Serral's now at 70+ workers still, but he's running out of mineral fields for them to mine. So I don't think he really is a little... Yeah, he's probably not offended at all about losing a bunch of those drones. They're actually just using up some of his supply that he'd rather spend on army instead. Okay. So now we have ghosts. Serral's still having a lot of Ultras out too. There's an Infestor over here in the back. No missile turret nearby. Careful, Maru. Careful, Maru. If you get your army fungled here, man, that would be a disaster. He's got a lot of scans available, but nobody expects that you are quite literally stepping on an Infestor. Oh, this could be huge. This could be huge. Serral's hunting for it, man. He's hunting for it. Is this a... Okay. Well, it was still quite nice. The Infestor ended up dying. Widowminder catching the Infestor off guard. 12 SCVs ended up falling yet again, though, and Maru is starting to fizzle out. Look at the amount of money that he still has available. Look at the supply count. Did Serral just still pull this off? Maru's army is massive. We're talking 100 army supply for both players. Serral needs to be careful that he does not get too carried away here. But Maru, even though he has a large army, he can't really step onto creep. And he has no income. At this point, he doesn't even have energy to drop down mules. This base getting denied repeatedly over on the right side of the map, after the base on the left side ended up getting denied so frequently too, is really hurting Maru now in the absolute end stages of this game. Dude, Serral's pretty good at this game, eh? This is an extremely, like, strategically speaking, extremely different game from match number 1. Oh, man, the fact that he's only lost 6,000 minerals more and, like, 4,000 more gas than the Terran here is kind of nutty. Yeah, this does look like checkmate. Honestly, crazy. It's like Serral started with a queen down, but somehow, some way, is still winning the game. Look at the splitties here against the Widowmines. Serral's maxed. Maru's at 110 supply. His army is huge, but he can really only do one fight. Man, Serral just clearing out individual Widowmines, man. I don't recommend you give that a shot yourself. It's probably going to go horribly wrong. Fungal growth over here, though, is real nice. And now the Zerglings decide to commit yet again. Fungal growth over here on the leftover Ghost. Corruptors in the meantime in the air. Sniping all of the Vikings. Sniping all of the Medivacs if they were to stay around. And with this base now denied of mining, I think Serral has just done it. Absolute gamer. Where you going? Okay. Spore Crawler wants to be part of the mix. GG. That takes us right now to the map Sanctuary 3. Or, as I heard somebody else describe it, Sanctuary Short Barcode. Which, you know what? I did find very funny. Yeah. Look, it's pretty bad, but kind of funny. Sure. No barcode usernames, though, for these two players. No uppercase I's, lowercase L's for these two. Ooh, injects on the queens. Fair enough. Not bothering with any sort of creep tumors this time around. This double inject. No passive lava generation in this game. Or at least not as quick. Third hatchery taken. Classic Terran music in the background. Look, the worker start count is nice. The warp gate change is interesting and all that. But really, the classic Terran music added to the playlist is the most important change. Can we all be in agreement with that? Da, 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 da. It's a bit of a banger. For some reason on this map, a lot of the little, the mineral fields and whatnot are kind of jittery. I've noticed that in general a lot more on this patch. Some of the shadows are not quite right. Why is there no anti-aliasing on any of this? I don't know. Anyways, Zergling run by here attempted by Serral. Committing quite hard, now droning on the back of it. A little bit of chaos here. A little bit of drama on the side of the Terran. Good defense though here by Maru. If you are in Maru's shoes right now, though, in this particular series, how defeated do you feel? Game number 1 was a landslide win for Zerg. Game number 3, though, was like a carbon copy of the game, except you came into the late game with a very significant advantage and you still lose. So what do you do as the Terran? What is the game plan now? Do you really want to drag out another match? Because that's how Maru usually wins his Terran versus Zergs. We're driving around aimlessly here with the Hellions right now. Third command center is done. It's a pretty quick armory. Do we want to go for some sort of Hellbat push? If we want to go for some sort of Hellbat push, we probably should have kept making some more of those units. Probably what we're going for, though. We've got Stimpack coming up. We've got a pretty decent number of units out in general here for Terran. But it's very committed, right? And this is the type of attack, like the main issue that I have with this type of attack is that it's a kind of push that Zerg can literally hold with queens alone. Command center landed over at the third. A couple of Zerglings got roasted in the meantime over on the right side of the map. I don't disagree with Maru, though. Like, I think him needing to make a play is pretty obvious. Oh, no. This is so bad for Terran, though. This is the problem with trying to play some sort of aggressive push. If you get delayed in any way at all, it just feels horrible, because you know Zerg is going to be able to prepare. Not only does this push get delayed, Serral now also sees it coming in from the other side of the map. So by the time that finally Maru arrives, as he walks through the slow circle, my god. Yeah, he knows that Zerg is going to be well prepared. This kind of feels like Maru is throwing in the towel. This is like the least inspired Terran attack that I've seen in a bit. Zergling run by in the meantime over at the third. Serral not bothering, by the way, with making Banelings here or Roaches or anything along those lines. It's just going to be Queens and Zerglings. Fair enough. You know what he needs? Queens and Zerglings. It's all he... Yeah, no, perfect calculation yet again here by the finisher. We've had 9 SCVs die in this game. Now, it's obviously been a lot of Zerglings, so it's not like it's been free. Yeah, 55 lings actually in total. That is a substantial number of Zerglings here that Serral has committed into, but still, okay, now Maru has decided to go for a more aggressive opener, and that also did not work. At the very least, you can't really say that this is now an advantage for Terran, I don't think. Now, normally what Maru's follow-up would be is extra command centers and then a whole lot of units. Now, instead, what we do is a triple command center 8 Rex. This is probably the most common build that Serral faces off against on the European ladder when he goes up against Terrans. Quite a few of the EU Terrans are actually very fond of this strat. This is the type of push, though, for Terran that you kinda... I mean, I'm hesitant to call it an all-in, but it's extremely dedicated. Because if you don't get a 4th command center going, obviously, you're gonna have 3, right? And with 3 bases going up against a minimum of 4 base Zerg, you need to shut down at least one of the expansions of the Zerg player. Problem is, we haven't really had a lot of Medevac and Hellion movement early on to deny the creep spread. And I feel like an 8-Rex is especially strong, as we go for the most committed version of the 8-Rex. I feel like it's especially strong when Zerg has very little creep. Maru's not going to have a lot of scans available, and any scan that he does need is going to slow down the attack. It's going to give Serral more and more opportunities here to just get more units out. At this point, Serral's leading this by about 10 workers, but you know what? He's going in for the counter-attack. Oh, the last thing that Maru can afford right now is SCV losses. He did snake his way out of the base somewhat. But this push now needs to kill a lot of stuff. 2-2 is on the horizon here, though, for Serral. It's not yet done. If he can finish it up, I think it's going to be an easy defense for him. Maru needs to push the issue right now. Still, though, some speedy Banes. Not quite within firing range right there of the siege tanks. Zergling run by yet again on the other side of the map as Serral is just not letting his foot off the gas. The rest of the Zergling run by, though, is committing to a defense back home. When does Serral decide to pull the trigger? He's probably checking for his +2 Carapace upgrade. It is seconds away from finishing. Is he going to pull the trigger with it finishing up? Or is he going to wait for the +2 melee? Oh, Serral decides to not really take any chances. Exactly with +2 armor, he decides to go in for the cleanup. And that is this push shut down for Maru. He does have a lot of reinforcing Terran units. He did make a 4th command center too. He'll attempt to probably make a planetary over on the right side of the map. Hive coming up right now, though, for Serral. +2 is going to be done here for the melee upgrades in a moment. He's chasing this Terran army to the edge of the creep, but then backs up yet again. Serral seems to have a little bit of a larva problem. Zergling run by once more. Ooh. The Marines, or the SCV's runner. Oh, get blasted there by the siege tank. Good job, lad. You've got 20 confirmed kills. 10 of which I think are SCVs. You absolute traitor. What do you do with siege tanks like this, man? Adrenal Glands. Ultra Cavern. +3 melee. Still, the supply count is remarkably good for Maru. Getting the +2 armor here as well for his infantry units. Did he ever make any add-ons on those extra barracks? He did not. Zergling run by yet again. Siege tank over here blasting yet again. That's 3 additional kills. 2 additional kills yet again. I think most of those were Zerglings at the very least. More SCVs dying. My god. Looks like the base over on the left side also did not quite get killed by Terran. As we've now had 43 SCV kills in this game. This is an 11-minute game. A different style of Zerg yet again. We've had passive macro, we have had active macro, now we have hyper aggression. All the roads, though, do seem to be leading towards Ultralisks together with 3-3 upgrades and Adrenal Glands. A couple Vipers up in the air. Maru also trying to throw a couple of curveballs, but Serral seems to be better at throwing them. Actually, I'm trying to picture these two playing regular sports. I know Serral is apparently really good at golf, but I feel like most pro gamers, not necessarily the most athletic when it comes to... Anyways. Insanely impressive performance here, though, from the finisher so far. Look, Maru's supply count is fine, right? Like, it's okay for now. He's got decent enough income. I don't mind it. But I almost feel like the supply count is a little bit deceptive. Serral is getting all of the important late-game upgrades, and he's got 89 drones. Burrowed Baneling set up as well, which is actually a really spicy play against this sort of thing. Careful, Maru! Careful, Maru! He doesn't know it. He does not know how close he was to throwing his mouse against the wall. computer mice are expensive, dude. That's like minus 150 euro right there. No, Maru not really a rager, but you know what? This is insanely frustrating. Getting the Metavex abducted. Oh, he scans. He does see the banelings right now, burrowed at the edge. But yeah, now exactly is when you want to have a glance at the bottom of the screen. So Serral is maxed out. We're going to try and, I guess, mine out this mineral field over here. Fair enough. But now is the moment that Serral's maxed out and he can start building up a bank. And he's got all of the late game important upgrades done. Maru is not quite yet in that type of position. Yet again, we're not going into ghosts. Yet again, we're not going into liberators. Now we are effectively playing a similar game as the previous one, except Zerk is ahead. In the previous game, getting into the late game, Terran was ahead. I would call game number 1 extremely even, where both players were effectively fine going into the late game. This is the first time we get to the late game with Zerk leading the charts, and we've seen how the previous 2 late games went. I don't know if this is going to work out for Maru. Serral's just sending it, man. Serral is just sending it. That's 18 SCVs down the drain. Zerkling's nibbling up and another mineral line too. We've now had 81 SCV kills this game. Ay, ay, ay. At the very least, eventually this expansion can land down on the low ground. Serral trying his best to deny it. Leaving a bunch of links behind yet again. Ghost Academy inside of the main. New hatcheries being acquired. Would not be surprised to see the one over here getting acquired in a moment either. There's the Zerklings unburrowing, nibbling a few more SCVs. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, and this is the type of game where you wonder to yourself, like, what do I do differently? If you are in Maru's shoes, what do you change? You know what you gotta do? Oh, well, maybe not kill your own siege tank. That would be step 1. But you basically gotta just play the same game, but better. Yeah. The big change you need to make here is to play the same game, but do it better. Why didn't he just play better? Crazy thought. Serral wins this series over Maru 4-0. Wildly different games, but each time Serral just seems to be better at StarCraft. So this is probably Serral's final performance, at least his final tournament on this patch. And in the new patch, Zerk seems to be significantly more powerful. I guess the only downside here for Serral is that on 5.0.15, Zerk players didn't really make it that deep into tournaments other than him. So there's more of a chance he faces another Zerk later on in the tournament series. Meaning that I guess in ZVZ he could potentially lose. So maybe this is actually the way to nerf Serral. Yeah, make Zerk better, which means that other Zerk players can potentially knock him out of a tournament. Whoa, I didn't think about that yet. GG.